So I started many moons ago in my early childhood education experience. I went to school at Langara, and at that time I had done my basic and special needs certification. And so this was over a good 30 years ago that I had started. One of my main positions was at the YMCA of Greater Vancouver, and I managed a infant toddler program, and that's why I also went back to school and got my infant toddler certification as well. So I do have all three. And I worked in a variety of YMCAs. That's the great thing about working for the Y. You can work in different locations and get different experiences. For most of the time, I was the supervisor manager there. And I think within about 3 or 4 years of working there, we started the Playing to Learn education. That, for me, was a little scary at first, a little daunting at first, because I was, at the beginning, you're kind of stuck in your ways. But when I could see the difference it was making in the programming, the way the children were reacting to it, and the way the staff were reacting to it, once we all came together and worked together on it, it made the days go by so much smoother. I worked there till about 10 years ago. And 10 years ago, my husband and I adopted our little girl. And one day I was online shopping, as I guess many new moms do, and they don't go out too often with their kiddos, little babies. And I came across a Discovery Toys website. And it was the website for my now upline. And this little part in the corner that says join my team. I thought, I should get some information on that, because I knew the products, and that's why I was searching those products for my daughter, because I knew that she was going to get a lot out of them, she was only 9 months old at the time, but I knew there's going to be a lot for her, even at that young age. I think they go hand in hand, because what I learned as an early childhood educator is that there are certain toys and resources that can be used in multiple areas of the program. It's not like you buy a toy and that's only for the dramatic play or only for the science area. Being able to bring that to different parts of the room, taking it out at different times of the year. It's not like, it's November and we talk about this theme. We had done away with that. And we didn't talk about snow in December because it didn't really snow here. So why are we talking about snow? These children, some of them had never even seen snow. So being able to bring it to different parts of the room and different areas of development was really important. Also, when I had them at home, I could see my daughter taking to them without much instruction. She was able to do with it whatever she wanted to do. I really feel that having that education with Playing to Learn and seeing what can be created just through their imagination. It's being looked through the eyes of a 2, 5, 10-year-old is different than my eyes. Play to Learn is having, again, the open-ended ability to start something here and see where it goes. So an idea that you or I could have of where this is going to go, it may not necessarily happen, and that's okay. And often, more than not, it gets there anyway. I think it's because as adults, we get there faster, and kids take the time to go through each step and get there. So they're learning at a more detailed pace, because we've already learned it in a short form. I get a lot of questions from people, they'll see me at a conference or at a trade show, and they'll say, I need something for a 2-year-old boy, or I need something for a 5-year-old girl. And I always, before I ask I go with the age, but I also ask their interest. If they're, sometimes they offer that information and sometimes they don't. Because if I give something that I'll say, okay, well, this is every 2-year-old likes this. Well, maybe they don't. Maybe they have trouble with fine motor. Maybe they have a lot of different toys that are the same but different, in that same kind of area. So like developmentally, you could have a 5-year-old who is putting something together that would be quote unquote, for an 8-year-old. Maybe that's just where they are. We do have play packs from 0 to 36 months. There's 6 play packs, and they each come with developmental cards. Like for 8+, like I'm thinking of a game that we have that, like a Speed Whiz, where you have a letter and something, it'll say like a card with a letter and a card that says something in the kitchen. So letter is S, something in the kitchen. So the S is assigned a number value. So if let's say we put a minute timer between us and I get 10 words, you get 12 words, you would win. But if you were a younger child, maybe we're not writing yet, just call out the words. Don't assign a word or a number value to it. It's just for fun. The first thing I would do is I do consider safety. So if you were in an infant toddler room, I wouldn't give you something like Marble Works that has teeny tiny little marbles or anything like that. We go for something like the Castle Marble Works, where the marbles are as the size of golf balls, like things like that. Safety is the number one thing, especially when you're in a program. But I would suggest things that can be that you always know are going to be tried and true resources that you can use for many years to come. It's not the difference I feel between buying with Discovery Toys and going to your typical toy store or big box store is that a lot of these things, the quality isn't as good. That's the first thing. They're not as tested. They're mass produced. They're not tested like ours are. But also, if something, if you lose pieces to a puzzle, more times than not, you can just get those pieces replaced. So think about those. So if you were to lose some pieces to the giant pegboard, no one's going to lose that big pegboard. So you can just replace those because you've made an investment in Discovery Toys. We want you to get as many years out of that investment as possible. So I would think about pieces you can replace easily, as well as things that kids are going to be interested in. Like off the top of my head, dinosaurs is huge. Transportation is huge. There's things that you want to bring forth to the children, talking about acceptance and empathy, filling someone's bucket. So things like that you're always going to be teaching children, because they're all going through this same stages at different ages. So as soon as your class turns over, you're going to get a new group in, and you're still going to be seeing the same issues because at different ages, they're going through some different either struggles or developmental milestones, as well as some challenges. Well, I think one example I can think of that there's a lot of kids that, they're going through the, let's say the selfish stage. And it's not even selfish in a way that, they're being, they're not being mean or anything. It's like when, you pass your hand in front of somebody because you want to grab something, and then they think, well, that's mine, you're going to grab it, and then they may bite you. So not everybody will bite, but some kids will. There's the social and emotional aspects of that. You are no longer the only child at home with your two parents. You're there with a whole, you could be up there with up to, 12 other children. And then if you're in a 3 to 5, you're there with 24 other children. So you're one of and working together. And like we said that, we could give the same thing to 4 different children at 4 different times, and they can use it in 4 different ways. And that's the great thing that we can give you with Discovery Toys. You can use the same thing in multiple ways. Like you could set up the same thing every day in a different area of the room, and they'll get a different experience out of it. If I was still in ECEs, I would take one toy that I'm thinking of, the puzzle trays. I would put that one day with Play-Doh, and then I would put it with paint, and then I would put it in a baking activity, because when you see it, you'll be able to see that it can go in multiple areas of the room. That's just one $30 toy. This puzzle here is My Friend's Puzzle, and it is 8 different puzzle pieces. They are broken up into 3 pieces, but it's 1, 2, and 3. They can even stand up as well. I'm not as good at the fine stacking as little fingers, but they're very good at that. And it shows and depicts the way different people look. That some of us are blonde and have glasses. Some of us have black hair and will be in a wheelchair. And some of us have curly hair and dark skin. And I think that's a great way to be able to have children see that there's more beyond what we look like. That's one of my reasons for really loving this puzzle. And it did win a very prestigious award recently as for a toddler puzzle. The second one I chose here is Stacking Owls. This is one that also I often pair with the Hoop book, because in it you will have 12 owls. They have the number on one side and just the without a number on the other side, and so you can stack them in different goofy ways. They're all going to come. All of our toys come with a booklet of ideas on different ways to stack them and to place them as well. And this is a great example for me of something that it's that extension from this fine motor activity into language, because this book here, the Hoop book, has 12 owls, just like the puzzles, but they pair really well together. And also what I like about this, besides the building, the early math, the color recognition, I often have people giving this as a baby shower present, and people take the monthly pictures of their kiddos, and on their first birthday they have that up at the birthday party. My last one here, this for many years was called Place and Trace. We've just branded and changed it to Puzzle Trays, and you'll see why. Now, this is something that I've mentioned when my daughter was little at 2. She did not like to get dirty. So I introduced this at 2 years old, and they look like cookie cutters. We used it in Play-Doh. She didn't get her fingers dirty. Once she got comfortable with that, we moved on to different materials, goop and clay and sand as well. But the thing with this one, so think of any toy you have that you bought when your child was 2 and they're still using it at 10 years old. The different areas of your classroom or different areas of conversation that this can go from an ECE standpoint. I mean, you buy one toy and it will go to so many different areas in your classroom. As a mother, what I found with this is that as my daughter got older, she was really, and still is, into art. She would trace these pieces and cut them, color them, make them into little puppets. She was able to develop so many skills just from this one toy. If I had to choose an overall favorite, it's this one here.